last but not least, I'd like to introduce the Parkview Community Partners team. Parkview Community Partners. Thank you all for your patience. Last but not least.
How's everyone this evening?
Good, thank you.
Tired and ready to go home. I figured that'd be the answer. I know we've got the passionate group still here with us tonight. So thank you for sticking in there with us and taking the time to hear from us and learn a little bit more about us. I'm Corey Powell. I'm with Dante's Partners. We are a district-based CDE that's actually located right here in the Parkview neighborhood. So our office is located right at Georgia and Lamont Street. So we're neighbors, so hello neighbors. We are a group, if you learn nothing else about us tonight, we are very, very passionate about what we do. There's some folks sitting in the crowd that I tend to bother a lot that can tell you how passionate we are about what we do. So we're taking this on with the understanding that ourselves, along with our partners, who you'll hear a little bit more from in a second, are very, very passionate about making sure that they move this forward as well. We are passionate, affordable housing practitioners. And the principal of our organization, who started the company in 2006, would otherwise be here tonight to tell you a little bit about his passion. I had to convince him to stay home. He just had back surgery about a week ago. But still trying to figure out a way to be here, so he sends his regards. But that tells you a little bit about us. The affordable housing piece is very important to our organization because it sort of stems from personal experiences we've had in trying to find locations for myself and the principal of our firm, finding locations for their families to live here in the District of Columbia. So we know that that's very important and are very passionate about making sure that we provide those opportunities for others here in the District of Columbia as well. Just a little bit about our experience. We have tremendous experience working with the Housing Authority, DHCD, and other district-based organizations, including the Deputy Mayor's Office. And have tremendous experience doing several public-private partnerships as well. We're wrapping up and currently leasing up O Street Market, which is part of a mixed-income community. The piece that we're focusing on currently is a 90-unit senior building that's currently being leased up, but it's part of a larger redevelopment that includes a new Giant and several towers that include market-rate housing as well. So again, we really want to bring that experience to bear here at the Park Morton site, and are really excited to be working with community builders and Cordy Gallus Urban to bring that to fruition. Again, we like to work with groups that are as passionate about the work that we do as we are, and that's one thing that's certainly unique about this partnership is that TCB brings national and local experience to bear, as well as Cordy Gallus. So I'm not going to tell you any more about them. I'll let them tell you about themselves directly. I hand it off to Jack.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, my name is Jacqueline Alexander. I'm the Director of Development for the Community Builders. We're a national nonprofit organization that just celebrated our 50th anniversary, so I think we're the oldest organization here. Our headquarters is located in D.C. Our headquarters is located in D.C. for our Mid-Atlantic region. We have developed over 26,000 units of housing. We manage over 7,000 units of housing. We are in 15 states and the District of Columbia. A third of the work that we do within TCB is out of our Mid-Atlantic office outside within DC. So we have a large pipeline of projects that we're working on. Our latest project is right up Georgia Avenue, a couple miles from, actually within a mile of this site, right up Georgia Avenue, working with our local nonprofit partner. We have developed 15 Hope 6 projects with housing authorities throughout the country. So we're very familiar with working with housing authorities, with working with residents to transform communities and neighborhoods. That is the mission that we have at the Community Builders. It's really working with residents and the folks and families and communities to really improve themselves economically, socially, and having diversity within that community. So that's very important for us. Just a few more tidbits. We were awarded a $30 million HUD Choice Implementation Grant. We're one of two private entities within the country that were awarded that with HUD, which is a great accomplishment. We were also awarded $78 million in Neighborhood Stabilization Program grant dollars. These are just the national resources that we bring to any of the projects that we work with. And that's very important to realize because the scale and the size of the work that we're talking about for Park Morton requires local partnership, requires the financial and access to financial capital, to human capital. And it's very important. It's something that we do here very well at Community Builders. We also have a social services arm of the organization called Community Life, where we focus on the investment in human capital and resident services. So we try to identify and work with the residents and work with the community about what is the needs for the community and how can we leverage resources, how can we leverage our local partners to really invest within that community. And that's something that we do well. For us, it's about transforming neighborhoods, transforming communities, working with our partners to really have systemic change and long-lasting change.
Good evening. My name is Murphy Antoine. Can everybody hear me back there? I'm with Torty Gallis Urban. We are a master planning and architecture firm. We are a CBE, Washington, D.C. based enterprise. We bring, you've heard a lot about sticks and bricks and mortar. We are physical designers, so we bring that to the picture. But we're also bring a perspective that is about people, not just the built environment, but about people and social equity. So as designers, we really bring that to the table. Again, things that you've probably heard before, what I think distinguishes us is the history of doing that, the volume of doing that, bringing a national perspective, but also the way that that experience has expressed itself in Washington, D.C. So we've been a CBE for about 6 years. I think it's about an 8-year-old program, but we're a 61-year-old firm. So we're actually a little bit older, sorry. In that time, we've been responsible for the development and design and build construction of 450,000 housing units nationwide and actually internationally now. And within the last 13 years or so, 40,000 affordable housing units. So we bring a mixed income perspective, we bring a market perspective, we also have a depth of affordable housing experience that you don't see from design firms. We go back 20 years in doing this in public housing-driven revitalizations. We go back to the very beginnings of doing this with the DC Housing Authority at Arthur Capper, where we were the master planners of that mixed income success with one-for-one replacement that's part of the whole Capitol Riverfront revitalization. At Frederick Douglass Stanton, prior to that, that's now known as Henson Ridge, continuing that work with the Housing Authority at Parkside, which is now Metro Homes, and also at moving on into Kenilworth. So we have this large depth of national experience, but we're also very proud of doing that in our backyard in the District of Columbia. We also have a very proud relationship with the community builders, again, of doing this kind of public housing-driven, neighborhood-scale revitalization. A very successful project in Cincinnati that happened to be a Hope 6, but this is about 1,000 units of housing that has really transformed that west end of Cincinnati and created the opportunity that Jack had spoke about, this Choice Neighborhoods implementation grant. We're also currently working with community builders in Richmond on, again, several public housing revitalization sites put together. We bring a market perspective, as I said, so we have this affordable housing, public housing revitalization experience. We also did all of the residential at Columbia Heights, which has its mixed income component, and Victory Heights is affordable housing, senior mixed income affordable housing in all of those buildings, Highland, Kenyon, Park Triangle. We did Park Place at Georgia Avenue Metro, which again has its affordable component. These are market driven, but they have a mixed income component. We're very proud of just completing the SWIFT, the old Petworth Safeway, with the Safeway company and that takes that site and creates opportunity on George Avenue. We're also working with the community builders further up George Avenue in Ward 4 at Beacon Center. So again, it's a large depth of experience, but a huge chunk of that applied here, and we're very, very proud of that.
Good evening. My name is Rob Fossey. I'm Regional Director of the Mid-Atlantic region for the Community Builders. And I'm also the last thing between you and dinner. So I will be brief. But I do want to underscore a few things. TCP is a nonprofit developer. We have done, as Jackie mentioned, over 26,000 units, including 15.6 engagements. But our mission is to build and sustain communities where people of all income can achieve their full potential. So our mission doesn't mention housing. It mentions communities, and it mentions lives. And while we are going to follow the rules and not discuss anything specific to this particular proposal, I do want to share with you the enthusiasm underscored by Corey's saying passion 15 times that our team increasingly had as we sat down and put this application together. We really believe this is an opportunity to fulfill the principles of new communities here in the district. We also should mention that as excited as we were about the proposal that we submitted, it is, for us, a first draft. It is a proof of concept. It allows us to convince ourselves and our potential public sector partners that we have a plan that works. The ultimate plan cannot be put to bed until we have the opportunity to sit down with the folks in this room, with the stakeholders, with the residents, with our public sector partners. We have a plan that makes sense from 15,000 feet, but the specifics of that plan needs the involvement of our folks in this room. So let me tell you the principles that we followed in submitting our application. One-to-one replacement. Every existing public housing unit will be replaced with an equal unit within our development. The right to return for every resident. Build first, so that if at all possible, there'll only be one move for each resident. Meeting and exceeding Section 3 and local hiring goals. And one reason that we don't have a general contractor by our side here tonight is that part of the bidding process that we go through will entail a competition that ensures that accomplishment is rated as highly as anything else within our bidding process. And as Jackie mentioned, a robust human service campaign through our Community Life Initiative that is as thoughtful and has as much time and attention and talent devoted to it as the real estate development plan. We now welcome any questions, comments that you may have before running out the door. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I've heard you mention, Stony Heights and some of the other projects, but one of the things that I've seen in the projects and Stony Avenue and other places is the lack of sort of what I would call public community space. You kind of build out to the sidewalk lane with no community space within the building, really. So therefore, how do you build a mixed income and lively neighborhood in here? So what's your philosophy on doing that? Because I haven't really seen that occur, especially from the standpoint of sustainable. When you did it in Columbia Heights, where it wasn't
let me say another principle that we followed, that I'm still coloring in the lines in this story, which is putting density where it belongs. We want to create a mixed income. We know we can create a true mixed income community, but you don't do that by overloading any particular area. You do that by thoughtful design that fits into the fabric of the neighborhood and finding other opportunities to create density where it belongs. Murphy, I don't know if you want to.
Well, I'd say that community space, both outside kind of public space and community space as part of buildings, are very important characteristics that we would incorporate and part of the principles. I'd also say that that is even more critical in a public housing-driven revitalization where at some level and sometimes at its core, you are trying to provide housing opportunities for families, which is a little different than the Columbia Heights apartment, condo model, and senior building model. So when we're trying to develop replacement units for families, having that community space to go to, having that open park space to go to, and having appropriate housing types of the appropriate kinds of densities, so there's even open space yards, call it, associated with the family homes, is a critical component that we incorporate in all of these family-driven public housing revitalization projects that wasn't as big a priority, I would say, in some of the Columbia Heights work, but absolutely would be, I believe, in Park work. And I say I believe because, again, we need to have that conversation to confirm that that's the correct assumption.
You mentioned earlier that you have experience with services to the electrical.
I'm sorry.
You mentioned that you had experience with human capital investment services. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, through our community life program, we have, through our Hope 6 projects, we've fundraised and we've been able to, I'll give some statistics, we have placed 2,000 of our residents in jobs throughout our projects. We have been able to contribute back to communities $16.7 million in earned income tax credits. So that's just some of the stats that we have, but it's investing, we've identified communities within our group that we're focusing efforts, focusing our social services programs, focusing our foundation dollars, focusing our support dollars so that we can have some real achievements and improvement. In Chicago, we've registered residents, I think more than, we had 100%, I think, participation in our voter registration in one of our Chicago projects. We had, one of our goals was to have adult males over the age of 18 or 18 to 25 either a job training program, getting their GED, and we were successful within that development. So what we do is we look at each individual community, we identify what the needs are, and then try to craft the appropriate services for that community. And that's always very important. We don't do that in a vacuum. We don't do that in a box. We work with the community residents to identify what the needs are and then begin to develop our programs based on that.
Okay, off-site parcels. What experience and qualifications do you bring to the off-site parcel requirements?
Again, this kind of at-scale community transformation work is what DCB is known for in this 15-state in the District of Columbia footprint. So that, I would say, represents a considerable portion of the work that we have done. We can't discuss the specifics of off-site parcels in this proposal at this point in time, but it is a very important component of the way we look at this, and it is, again, it's something that we have vast experience with in the work that we've done in this 50-year history.
Yeah. And just to add to it, so we're located again at Georgia and Lamont, so we're very familiar with what's happening in the neighborhood and various activities along Georgia Avenue. So we've developed concrete plans in terms of dealing with the off off-site parcel, in terms of dealing with the off-site parcel issues, I'm trying to walk a fine line of not going into detail, but being so close to the neighborhood and intimately familiar, we've been able to develop a concrete plan.
Experience with retail and commercial, besides, getting us some new neighborhood bars, what philosophy do you bring to the table to do things beyond more bars?
So I think the best way to answer that from our perspective is just to talk a little bit about our experience in dealing with non-residential uses. So we pride ourselves on being creative financiers and going out and securing financing for community-based facilities, be it charter schools, or we work with the Housing Authority to place the financing for Progression Place on Georgia Avenue, which includes a resale component as well. We also assisted in securing the financing for several developments along Georgia Avenue, one of which is 4100 Georgia Avenue, where we went out and were active in securing the Yes Organic that's currently on the ground floor of that development. So we have experience doing that, and again, walking the fine line to the extent that we can, that's something we can bring to bear here as well.
I don't think this is outside the line. I can assure you, we do not have a bar in our plan. In addition to the 26,000 units that Jackie referenced, we also done over 500,000 square feet of commercial retail space. We are also the recipient of $50 million in 2 tranches of New Markets tax credits, which is a vehicle used to facilitate community facilities and commercial and retail development within urban areas. And we are going to go back for another round of New Markets tax credits in this next round. And again, we think that to enhance the vitality of any urban community, the solution is never just housing. There has to be a mix of uses that's appropriate for the needs and opportunities in that community itself.
Any other questions?
Just with the cruising chart.
Glad you asked that question.
So this is a true partnership. The way we've structured this is TCB will lead some phases of development, and Dante's will lead others. So, but we are partnering in each phase, but the managing member will be different. Again, that's probably all I should say.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank all the teams that presented, Parkview Partners, Park Morton Partners, Parkview Commons, Parkview Community Partners, for coming to share, again, their qualifications and background. Most importantly, I'd like to thank all of you as residents and community stakeholders for being patient, for being able to come and again hear some of that information to be able to know exactly what we're looking forward to as far as the community for Park Morton. Thank you and have a good evening.
Should we get a letter to her